In 1932, the United States government began a medical study in rural Alabama. They told the men enrolled in the study that they were receiving treatment for bad blood. They were not. They were being observed as they slowly died. For 40 years, the United States Public Health Service watched 399 black men suffer and die from syphilis, a disease that had a known, effective cure from 1947 onwards, without ever treating them, without ever telling them what they actually had, without ever giving them the choice to leave. This is the Tuskegee Syphilis Study, and it is one of the most devastating betrayals of medical ethics in American history. The study began in Macon County, Alabama, one of the poorest counties in the United States. In 1932, the Great Depression had devastated the region. Most of the black sharecroppers who lived there had never seen a doctor in their lives. The United States Public Health Service arrived with an offer that seemed generous: free medical exams, free meals on examination days, free burial insurance, 399 men enrolled. They were told they had bad blood. They were told the government was there to help them. What they were not told was that they had syphilis, and that the government had no intention of treating it. The stated purpose of the study was to observe the natural progression of untreated syphilis in black men. Researchers wanted to document what the disease did to the human body over time if left completely alone. To do that, they needed the men to remain untreated, so they were never told their diagnosis. And when penicillin became the standard treatment for syphilis by 1947, an effective, widely available cure, the men in Tuskegee were still not treated. The study continued. For 4 decades, the Public Health Service actively worked to keep the men untreated. When World War II began, and many of the men were drafted, the Public Health Service contacted local draft boards and had them removed from lists for treatment programs that would have cured their syphilis. They sent the men fake treatment, pink pills that were actually aspirin, injections of a substance that had no therapeutic effect whatsoever. They performed painful spinal taps, telling the men it was special treatment. It was not treatment. It was data collection. The men trusted the doctors. They came back year after year. They brought their families. They believed they were being cared for. Meanwhile, the disease progressed. Syphilis in its late stages attacks the heart, brain, and nervous system. The men developed cardiovascular disease, neurological damage, blindness, mental illness. 28 men died directly from syphilis. 100 died from related complications. 40 wives were infected. 19 children were born with congenital syphilis. All of this was documented, carefully, in government files, by government employees who went home to their families every evening. The study might have continued indefinitely. But in 1966, a Public Health Service employee named Peter Buxtun read the study files. He was horrified. He wrote a formal protest to his superiors, arguing that the study was unethical and should be stopped immediately. He was told that the study would continue. He protested again in 1968. He was told again that the study would continue. So in 1972, Peter Buxtun gave the files to a journalist named Gene Heller. On July 25, 1972, the Washington Star ran the story on its front page. The New York Times picked it up the next day. The public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Within months, a Senate subcommittee was investigating. The study was terminated in November 1972, 40 years after it began. By that point, only 74 of the original 399 men were still alive. In 1974, the United States government settled a class action lawsuit brought by the survivors and families of the men. The settlement was $10 million. No one was ever criminally charged. The doctors and researchers who ran the study for 40 years faced no legal consequences. In 1997, President Bill Clinton issued a formal apology on behalf of the United States government. He said the United States government did something that was wrong, deeply, profoundly, morally wrong. 8 survivors were present at the ceremony. The legacy of Tuskegee reaches far beyond those 399 men. Studies have found that the exposure of the Tuskegee Study in 1972 led to a measurable and lasting decline in trust of the medical system among Black Americans. Researchers have estimated that this loss of trust contributed to a reduction in life expectancy in the Black male population in the years following the study's exposure. The harm was not just to the men who were experimented on. It rippled outward for decades in ways that are still being measured today. 399 men were told the government was there to help them. They believed it. They came back year after year for 40 years. And the government that was supposed to protect them watched them die, carefully, methodically, and in silence. The Tuskegee Study did not happen because of a few bad people. It happened because of institutions, bureaucracies, and systems that allowed it to continue for 4 decades without anyone in a position of power deciding to stop it. That is perhaps the most disturbing part of all. Not one person, not one decision. 40 years of silence from thousands. If this story stayed with you, subscribe. New hidden history every week. And drop a comment. Did you learn about Tuskegee in school, or was this the first time you heard the full story?